Yo, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yo, bro.
What's up?
Nothing much, dude. I wonder if some of our listeners have responsibilities of home ownership.
Mm.
You think a few of them do?
I would go out on a limb and say like 93%.
They're watching
Okay.
from somewhere.
So,
So it could be at the local library. You don't know.
you know how I did that fence, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's one more step to it that's really a pain in the ass.
You gotta paint it?
No, we don't paint that fence. That's barnyard style, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that. You gotta finish it?
For me, technically, I have to use it for my dog. So I have to put a wire. It's like a big roll of hefty chicken wire. It's not thin.
Yeah.
It comes in like 400-pound rolls. And usually the farmers have a machine that they tow behind their tractor that this sits on, and you just drive and it unrolls it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that machine.
No, I would assume not.
Dude.
They gotta make like more commercial consumer like chicken wire rolls. Because people buy chicken wire that aren't in these like you probably don't get the same deal on it.
That's chicken wire though. If I wanted chicken wire, I'd buy chicken wire, sure. Whatever you want to call it. What do you call it? This is I guess it's just wiring, fence wiring.
Yeah, okay.
But you
don't think that there's like a smaller juice? Might be more pricey per.
You could tow it on your lawnmower.
Okay. You got a little rider juice.
I do have that, but it is, man.
Put that right
tough.
to the fence.
I was just going to say, we know how he is around fences and that rider. I don't know.
Jesus. I told Trisha I'd get it done tomorrow.
Do you have to dig that in the ground a little bit?
No, it just goes right to the grass.
Okay.
What are you what are you going to how are you going to fasten it to the fence?
Heavy duty staples with an air compressor stapler.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I got one section done, and it looks beautiful.
Nice.
It was not fun though.
What?
But anyway,
sorry.
God. No, you're good.
I was good. Well, I'm just thinking, like, as someone who, had a Doberman and a fence.
Yeah.
What happens when he digs under?
We're gonna cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay.
He's not a digger. What I'm more concerned about is jumping.
Oh, you think
he's very aware of how high you can jump, and it is not a 6 foot. It's right now our fence is 4 3/4.
So
even a 6 foot.
Yeah.
He can clear a 6 foot. He knows he can jump high. So
right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think we're gonna be fine.
I got some solutions for you. We'll talk about it.
All right. But all that to say is maybe some people out there can relate to one of those things you got to do, but you just don't want to do it.
It's always something. It is always something.
It's always something, dude.
Now. Oh man. So the storms. You been getting any of these storms on the East Coast?
I heard they were very bad.
It is insane, bro.
One of the streets in Philly, it's one of these roads you do not want to get stuck in if it's a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
So, Abe is probably aware of this one in Philly. It kind of goes underground.
Yeah, Vine Street Expressway.
Yep. And it is exactly where you don't want to be, because not only is it underground, but the walls are not straight. The walls are like come in, so you can't even try to scale it if you wanted to. There's no way, dude. You're done. You're absolutely done. The amount of times I've thought about what is the plan of action if something happens.
Choke point.
Yeah.
Most of it is wait in the car and like hide in the car.
If that happens, then you can unplug me.
I don't think you'll have a choice, dude.
Well,
you have to decide before that happens.
That road is also right next to the Schuylkill River, which means that in a bad storm, it has actually completely flooded.
Oh, it's flooded. It looked like a pool at one time.
Yeah. And dumbasses were swimming in it. It's like, yeah, gross. That probably
not
was.
Only that, but you get like one hot electric line.
Yep.
That's the scary part with flooding,
which do exist down there. Yeah.
So these storms, they came through, and there's like a lot of trees down and whatnot. We had some power issues, and typical, right? But we have a used hot tub that I bought in the used market, and it's been awesome. It came with a cover, right? And it's like these like tall insulated, like keep the heat into the thing.
They fold. Half of it folds over.
Exactly. And I have it on one of those little railing systems. So you fold it over the rail and then you push the rail back and the whole thing comes off and then it goes back on. And so it's an easy way to get the cover on and off. So the lift is great. It was not in the greatest position when we got it. It was a little concave, like a little bit. Well, with the storms and the amount of rain, bro, it saw its last day.
Really?
And I go out there and I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, there's that. And so because water's heavy, man, and if it starts to pool and it keeps pooling, bro, it's bad. So the middle of it, definitely like the structure broke in the inside. And so I start looking around for new, like, all right, I need a new one. It's fine. I knew this was going to happen eventually. They're like $600 for a cover.
Oof.
I would have thought they were more than that, to be honest.
Really? I actually would have thought the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 600 new for
pool hot tub related.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I mean, there's hot tub. Like you buy a new hot tub these days, it's like 14 G's or something.
Yeah.
When I was looking, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. I bought mine with everything and the cover for like $3,500.
Dude, just to get chlorine tabs for a pool these days is outrageous.
Yeah, the chemicals do add up over time. But I mean, like the hot tub definitely is a smaller amount of water. It's a lot easier. Yeah. Like I treat it every like 3 weeks or something.
I saw that before we get into
Unless Slum comes over, because then I got
and you got to extra clean it. One more thing before we jump in. I saw this meme, and finances remind me of this. This girl was applying for a job, and she's like, "How's your credit score?" She's like, "Good." She's like, "Well, you don't make enough money." And she's like, "Well, I don't live paycheck to paycheck." And she's like, "No, you're not really paycheck to paycheck. You're more like vacation to groceries." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, have you ever had to replace all 4 tires at once?" She's like, "Yeah." "How was that?" "It freaking sucked." "Yeah, exactly." But, yeah, oh, shit. "Have you ever had to replace your hot tub cover?" "Yeah."
Hot water heater? Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I hear you. Anyway, I went on Craigslist. I found one used. I've got my brother-in-law. He has a truck. We went over and $200. Done and done. And he gave me a bonus cover that's like for like the elements, basically, like rainwater. Mm-hmm. It's just like a thin like canvas that just like wraps the top and kind of keeps it boom. And yeah, really happy.
Keeps it boom.
Big.
See, the Craigslist shopping experience, not bad. When you're selling stuff on there, you got to give a bunch of weirdos 100%. Your address.
No.
All to get like haggled on like a fucking picture frame.
Yeah, that's a meet at a Publix parking lot type deal.
You want to know my tip whenever I do that? I say, they never know where you live, first off. So I go, "I'll meet you halfway." And I give them a location that's like 2 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
And they're coming like an hour away. I'm like, this is halfway.
That's
right next to my house.
Where do you live?
Yeah, what do you do when you're selling heavy furniture? You know, we were selling, I think it was an old table. And
sometimes you just gotta, is what it is.
Well, I told him, I was like, you got to be able to get this into your car. Because I don't really want to do it. That's why the price is so low. And it was these 2 little ladies that showed up with in a Prius, and I was like, it isn't going to fit. You can't get this. Like we can't do. I helped them try to get, and it didn't fit, and they came back later with a truck. I was like, you had a truck the whole time?
Should have told them it had to be a truck. Anyway, about enough of this Craigslist and shopping and stuff. What do you say we get into it, boys?
We got it.
All right. Well, right now we got some, I'll call them general first-person shooter fans out there that are quite angry.
Yeah, that's the norm. Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
Yeah, that's me daily on stream. You ever tune in the mornings? Right there.
Do you think gamers are just always angry? Is it a gamer
thing?
Man. Yeah, Abe said yeah.
There's always a subset
within the last 5 years. I'll tell you that. Within the last 5 years, you bet your sweet ass.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, so there is actually a new piece of hardware out. I guess it's hardware technically, but a keyboard that was just released by Razer called the Razer Huntsman series. And within the Razer Huntsman, there is a feature that they refer to as, I believe, Snap Tap. Yeah, Snap Tap. So specifically in the Counter-Strike space, people are pretty pissed off about this. So historically, in Counter-Strike, there is a console command that you can utilize that does something called a null bind. And essentially what a null bind does is if you're hitting two keys simultaneously, the second key press will, instead of being like a simultaneous key press, it'll actually nullify the first one and it'll input that second command. This is not allowed in tournament play and it's banned on Faceit. So it's bannable if you do this console command.
You could use null binds in matchmaking in
Correct.
CSGO
and Premier.
And in Premier on CS2.
Correct.
And so when CS2 came out, there's a lot of issues with like the movement and things not feeling good. And null binds actually helped quite a bit with that. And so it was actually super common when CS2 first came out. They're not really necessary anymore and they don't actually do anything. But,
yep. So that null bind, though, even though it's okay in Premier matchmaking, it's actually banned in professional tournament play, and Faceit bans it.
Okay.
So this new series of keyboards has a built-in feature referred to as snap tap that is essentially the same thing as the null bind. And I have a little bit of a video we can watch here where this guy will show off kind of how that works.
Sure.
That's
a beautiful keyboard, by the way.
It's a very cool keyboard. So we'll start from right about here, and then he'll start explaining it.
It covers basically everything you want to know. But the quick summary, it removes the human error of overlapping your A and D keys when strafing. Counter strafes require you to press the opposite strafe key to get to a complete stop faster for better accuracy. But as humans, we sometimes make less effective by pressing both keys, even just for a split second. Snap tap just makes sure that you can't trigger both keys. That's basically it.
Damn!
From a logical perspective, it works just like null binds, but on a hardware level. But this won't magically make you Faceit level 10.
All right, so
this actually might make the game good, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's not that it's not useful, right? Because as he's explaining, as he's explaining in the video, all it's doing is it's essentially removing the human element of when you're double tapping a key like that. So counter strafing is essentially strafing one way and then tapping the opposite direction to cut your movement so you stop instantly.
Sure.
Counter-Strike, if you are moving, your bullets are inaccurate. So the only way to get your perfect accuracy is to not be moving. So this helps you counter the movement by just moving the opposite direction. You stop dead. If you're doing that on your own by tapping the keys, if you're hitting the two keys simultaneously, the second input doesn't get recognized and you won't really just stop. You'll float a little bit and then you don't gain your perfect accuracy.
So don't competitive players only play Faceit, or are they still playing the other stuff?
If you're genuinely competitive, then yeah, it's Faceit only.
Yeah. Now, this is not banned on Faceit.
And I thought you said it was.
Null binds.
Null binds are snap tap.
This is not. So think about it this way: null binds are the software version of it, and this is the hardware version of it.
Correct. Which also means it would be legal in tournament play as well.
That's tricky.
It's also why I had to purchase this exact keyboard and give this a test. Because listen, this is a genuine like hot button issue for the CS world. And I wanted to know, like, I wanted to have a legit opinion on, like, is this super OP or is this like, does this feel relatively the same? The conclusion is this. I played a few games with it, and as someone who has been counter strafing for 20 years, it doesn't really feel all that different. If you were to put Slum on CS and have him try to learn counter strafing or use this is obviously going to get him there a million times faster.
What's up?
And maybe I ship this one to Slum, just you know what I'm saying. But
it might help me too.
It is genuinely helpful in that regard. But I also think that like it's not 100%. It doesn't work perfectly. It's not like this, because the whole point is to quote unquote eliminate the human error, right? So it's like, even if you're really good and you've been counter strafing for forever, there's going to be times where you have like lapses in your inputs and it's going to be scuffed and you're going to float a little bit. Like he was saying, you're not going to stop dead on a dime and be able to shoot perfectly accurately. Sometimes you'll accidentally float and that first bullet will not be accurate. that still happens with this. To be clear, it is not. It's absolutely still happens with this with the tech enabled. And so part of it is like, I don't know how much of it is me. I don't know how much of it is the keyboard. I feel maybe like slightly more consistent with counter-strafing, maybe slightly, but it's by no means perfect. It's not what everyone is building it up to be in that sense. You're not going to have this 100% stop on a dime, shoot accurately all the time. That's not the way it works. And so, I just wanted to know because I see people talking about this constantly, so I had to give it a try. But yeah,
people are bitching about it.
Very interesting tech. I think ultimately what's going to end up happening is we are going to continue to see this trend of game companies trying to sell hardware that is going to make you better. It's always been a thing, but with the rise in competitive gaming and esports, there really hasn't been a whole lot of innovation on that front. But if they can figure out a way to sell you a competitive edge, they know they have a gigantic market these days. And this is the same thing with that monitor that we took a look at. It tracks the mini map of something like League of Legends or Dota, and it will tell you if you're not paying attention to the mini map, it will literally recognize the fact that there is an enemy player there, and then it will put it in relative location on your screen in like a red outline so that you know that they are possibly there. So like if you're in a lane in League of Legends and you're about to get ganked, like someone's coming for you and they happen to go over a ward, right? It's not on your screen, but they do show on the mini map. And so when they pop up on the mini map, you are going to get alerted by your monitor, recognizing that in that spot, like in the direction that they are going to come from, this dude is close. And
that seems very not fair.
It's that is like genuinely insane. And they want to use the same exact tech for sound. I was talking to Drouse the other day, and they're using this tech for sound. So if your PC picks up sound in a certain area, they're going to approximate the person behind a wall. Like a wall hack, like this person is here behind the wall because we can tell you that you were supposed to have heard this person there, which is very interesting because like as a gamer, that's probably like my single greatest skill is my hearing. Like I hear shit that no one for those in the audience, Slum's Steam name is One Good Ear. But I hear things that like even people who play like CS religiously or just play games religiously, they don't hear. And I'll be able to pick up on that and be able to play through that. And that's super helpful in like all of the extraction games that I've played, like Escape from Tarkov. I was definitely, it was a huge advantage of mine. And it's just a matter of having a good audio setup and just having good ears and then being able to piece that together spatially in your mind. Yeah, very helpful. And so to have a piece of hardware tech allow everyone else to do that undermines my like ability. It feels bad. So I get it. Yeah. Trust me. I definitely get it. And the more things that we have like this, it's just like shrinking the skill gap between players who play games. And that's a bad thing. Yeah. Right? Like everything that I fight for in game design is always all about how much can we increase the skill gap. Like if you're a savage, I want to see you run over everybody, right? Like I want to see that skill expression at play. Give these people who are really good and have all these talents in game the tools to be able to dominate. They deserve it. And games that undermine that, oftentimes what we see in the industry right now is games specifically work to undermine that so that they can sell a more positive experience to more gamers so that they can make more money. And that feels really bad. And so that's a lot of the frustration, especially in the day-to-day FPS community right now. So, I think to bring it back to CS is one of those games where it is the be-all, end-all of very high skill expression. It's like the best game in the world for that specifically. And to be consistently good in CS is the hardest job in the world. In gaming. And before we get a lot of angry comments in gaming, And hey, listen, I do deep sea fishing, and I would like to.
The oil riggers are
coal miner.
Sure. Yeah.
You ever get black lung?
This guy's got the black lung. He can only type to communicate now. And so it does suck to see things undermine that specifically in CS. So
I got a product idea.
Yeah, what do you got?
What if we make a monitor that allows you to turn on and off essentially and reposition a dot, like a red dot, so that when you're point firing in games, you could always have center without, that way that would really help in Tarkov, I think.
Oh, right? to put it where it actually would be. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Like you could reposition your dot on your monitor and then activate it, and then there you go. So you have a point fire.
They have that already.
No, but what Abe's talking about is the fact that they have it, but it's only built into the middle. I've never seen one where you can move it like left, right, up, down, because in Tark, and we used to talk about this a lot, is like when I would point fire with long rifles versus short rifles, like it's hitting a different spot. Like the guns don't align the same way. And that's really because Battle State's a bunch of incompetent monkeys over there. So it is what it is. But really what it comes down to is like, if you could throw the Mosin specifically, like just move it off to the left just a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you'd be in business, and it would really be a huge competitive edge to know exactly where the center of your shot is going to be at all times. So I don't know.
There is a monitor where you can adjust it, so that's good if you want that. My way that I used to do it back in the day with Rainbow Six, I just took a Sharpie straight to my monitor.
Yeah,
and the reason it was so iDot screens. And the reason it was crazy for Rainbow Six was what is it when you're behind the wall and you can see when you're hugging a wall and basically your guy's behind the wall,
like third person peeking.
Third person, sure, but sometimes you get into those battles where you're hugging that wall and you can see the people.
Oh, and you know where you're gonna pre-aim when you actually turn the corner.
They're done.
You line that bitch up and you're.
They have no chance. So
that's the OG OP peeker's advantage right there.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And on the topic of the CS and the keyboard, I would say until it's banned, it is what it is, right? Like if we're allowed currently to play at this game, at this level, with these parameters,
right,
then I'm gonna play at those parameters. It's up to you guys to regulate it.
Yeah, the scary part, and to be fair, and I think that this is like a really important point. This has existed for hardware always in PC gaming, because people are not on an equal playing field in most games, because most games are not well developed. They are not they're not all running at 300, 400 frames per second like CS is, right? And so if you have a game that's not optimized, like Escape from Tarkov, I used to tell people this always back in the day, because people would say like, hey, like, I don't understand how you're so good. And I was like, don't ever put these streamers on this ridiculous pedestal of being good at this game. We all play games for a living and therefore have the most insane PC setups, and the game is a million times easier to play. They used to literally have fire rate in game for an automatic rifle be tied to the FPS that you were getting for your game. And so if you got higher FPS, you would literally shoot faster, more bullets per second, and be able to have more projectiles hit your opponent in like the same amount of time. How ridiculous is that?
Whose idea was that?
Battlestate Games, Smile.
But what's the logic behind that?
It's not intended. It's just their bullshit spaghetti code that created that.
Okay.
Yeah, that almost seems like that was a handicap on there, like being like, well, rather than optimize this, let's just limit it based on the hardware.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't know like how it came to be, but it has been since fixed, right? That doesn't exist anymore, but it did for years of me playing Tarkov. And so it's like, not to mention your ability to see people better, your ability to move through the server better. Like there's just so many things in these unoptimized games that like movement, it like in and of itself was like a million times easier on a good PC. And so it's like this hardware competitive advantage has always existed and will continue to exist in a lot of different ways, right? And it's important to remember that. It's like the same thing, like Teddy is ass at shooters.
Okay.
But I will never rip on him for it seriously, only for fun. Because he plays on some dog shit 1 monitor 60 hertz setup. He's using a 60 hertz monitor for Counter-Strike. It's a miracle he gets the kills he does. He has to actually be so fucking good to play on the terrible PC that he has with the terrible monitor. His hardware setup is genuinely the worst in our entire community, and he holds his own. And so it's like, I'll never actually come at him for his gameplay because like he's working with what he's got, bro. It's just different. He's a little different too, but that's besides the point.
I was about to say he has hardware advantages as well, something depending on what games he's playing. His brain, dude.
Yeah, that's true. PoE, he's basically cheating,
right? Like he's like Rayman.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. You should see him in RuneScape these days, dude. He's taking on a whole second. Yeah, it's wild. Anyway, shout out Ted.
All right,
somebody needs to power the fuck out with Power GPU. Hashtag.
There we go. That's true. Have you? Oh, dude, when I upload to Spotify, I say there's no branded content in any of this. We'll see if we can pull off this.
That's for me. That's for the marketing brand.
Yeah. So, do you like the keyboard? Besides that thing.
I like the caveat of when I upload to Spotify. How we doing on that? We keeping up with that?
We're up to date. You know how I do 20 episodes every once in a while
I got complained to this week by someone who said that you need to upload more episodes because they were out.
I know you did. And that's why it's
that's why we're caught up. That's
the same person.
Hell yeah. Good stuff. Do I like the keyboard?
Yes.
I love Razer keyboards. I always have.
Yeah, they're good.
I think it's the one thing that Razer makes well. I think their mice are terrible, and they have terrible longevity. Headphones, hell no.
Dude,
I won't take a gaming headphone over an audio, no matter what.
Well, for sure. The first headphones I bought for a setup back in the day was Razer Krakens, and after like 10 minutes, they were so uncomfortable, dude. So uncomfortable.
But they sold a shit ton of them. I'll tell you that. They marketed them really well back in the day. Everyone had Krakens.
Well, I think they have a dope brand, dude.
They do.
Like, it's just badass.
Shout out to the green and black brands. What's up?
Green and black.
It's pretty affordable too, isn't it?
What is it?
I think it's like $130. It's pretty good for a gaming keyboard.
This one,
I have their website up.
This one was it was like $200. Yep.
Did you get the wrist pad with that thing?
Oh yeah, I got it's on the ground here somewhere.
Is that the V3 Pro?
Is the logo snakes?
Yes, it is.
That's so badass, dude.
Yeah, it's cool.
This one's $250.
Yeah, I got it for $2. I don't know, Amazon. But
how you going?
But Amazon rental, don't get it twisted.
I don't get it twisted.
I always feel like the switches are really good. You have a lot of control over it, even more so with this keyboard. Outside of like the snap tap bullshit, the keyboard is really good because you're able to have individual key attenuation. And so you can make the attenuation of each key, which means like how far you actually have to press it before it registers, different for every single key on the keyboard. And so you can do that for like WSD while you're playing a shooter, or QWER while you're playing League, and it feels much better, like way more responsive. And yeah, so I think that's really nice, and still be able to like type when you want to type and not have it be super janky or anything. So
cool.
It's very, very, very cool.
5 cabbages.
Excuse me?
Those are 5 cabbages.
Oh yeah.
Are we branching out already? We're doing products too?
5 fresh cabbages.
Wow.
Yeah. You heard it here first. There's even more stuff you can do with it. But yeah, I hear you.
What about, I mean, I got a new keyboard too. It's mechanical. There's too many buttons on it. I have to retrain my brain on typing. Like my control, all my hotkeys are control something.
Right.
Now I'm just pressing this random key that half the time quits my program.
That's not what you want.
Yeah, I gotta fix that. All right, so Razer, dope brand, cool keyboard. We'll see if CS bans this in Face It or whatever, but you're gonna have to figure out how to. I guess they probably could, but
I think it's confirmed that G2 has been using this as a pro.
Yeah. So. Well, that's if it's allowed.
Yep.
And it could make you a micro % better.
Yep.
You'd be wrong or silly not to. Correct.
And I think what some of these teams are running into is like they would like to in a pro setting, but they have a different keyboard sponsor and they have to like they can't be coming onto the stage with Razer underneath their arms and setting up. That's a bad look, right?
Then I would go to my sponsor and be like,
why don't you make this? Yep.
Make this now.
Yep.
I don't care if you're only making 10 of them and they get discontinued in a year. I don't care. Make it now. All right. So what do we got next, boys?
All right. This one's a little bit of a quick hitter in the gaming space still, but in a recent interview with the top brass at Fortnite, actually, it was the Epic Games CEO. Sorry, not the top brass at Fortnite. Top brass of all of them. Tim Sweeney hinted at a potential for Fortnite to expand to 200 player lobbies. So right now the game only does about 100 player lobbies, and that's because it's currently on Unreal 5, and their networking setup and the network model doesn't really support that many players connected at the same time. But Fortnite has long been kind of Epic's way to test out new Unreal stuff in the gaming space, and the talk is that they're going to make a switch over to Unreal 6. That switch gives them the ability to now start working with a new networking model capable of hosting 200 player lobbies in a battle royale.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It makes sense that people love this game, dude. I don't have experience with 200 people BRs. Have we played BRs that have 200 people in it?
I don't think so.
No, Warzone, I think sometimes I may have played in like over 100-person lobby in something like Warzone before, but like not by a lot. Very interesting, but I can tell you exactly what they're doing to make this a reality. I guarantee you that UE6 is using the brand new server meshing technology that Star Citizen innovated, despite all the shit that Star Citizen gets, and Ashes of Creation is utilizing to make the greatest MMO ever seen in the history of MMOs. You heard it here first. Holler at your boy. Go to my chat, twitch.tv/Markstrom, and type !AOC, and it will bring up my promo code for signing up for the future of the game. So that helps me out. I appreciate it if you go and do that. It will be a cornerstone of the channel when the game is live and takes over the entirety of gaming and ushers in the golden age of gaming in 2020. I don't know, probably 8. Anno Domini. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what year it is. We are supposed to get a playable version and streamable this year. So,
wow, that's a big thing, dude.
It's pretty big.
It's a big thing for him to say. It's just one guy, right?
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be chaotic too.
They have a massive team.
I thought it was just one guy.
One guy is the one who is funding it. Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
One funder. One juicy oiler that is in charge.
I thought we were talking about Fortnite, not AOC. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So would this just basically does this contribute to the game in any other way besides making it longer?
Chaos. I think it'll be very chaotic.
You don't think it'll be more spread out? Does the map get bigger?
I would assume that it would have to accommodate more area to land. You'd have to. Otherwise, the player density will be too chaotic off the rip, and that will feel bad for the players. So
yeah.
I get wanting to make it more people, so that people can rack up a bunch of kills in one game, and you have all these new records now that people will want to set if you're a pro out there or a content creator. It'll be interesting. I definitely think it comes with a map expansion. There's no way they could fit it in what they have going on right now, but they are constantly shifting the way things play. They're very tuned into balance in general. They're always trying to implement something new, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, they take it out. Bada bing, bada boom. They keep it moving. They keep it moving, and that's one of the main reasons why the game is still so popular all this time later. Because they recognize that it's it despite being a BR, a multiplayer BR, it is a live service game in that capacity, and they are making sure that they service each and every season as well as possible, so that people continue to have fun on it, because it's a free to play game with microtransactions, and they are incentivized to do so.
I wonder if, in my opinion, it just makes it longer. The obviously you have those records that you just spoke about, but I think the game will just be longer to complete. I don't think anything crazy. I think they're just testing new stuff, like you said, or furthering the testing of some innovations made prior. But I'm also down with that, even if nothing comes from it, but saying this feature works. Let's gun it, pedal to the metal.
It'll be interesting to see if that amount of content or that length of a game is going to feel too long or feel better, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're constantly testing that kind of thing, like what's a digestible chunk. If you queue up for a game and you actually end up winning, how long are you in? How long are you willing to be able to commit to a game? Like, they're going to have to test like all those metrics. And if it's not right, they won't do it, right?
They'll scrap it.
Yeah. So it'll definitely be very interesting. I think that it will be a bad thing for the pro scene. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that. Bad thing for the pro scene. It allows more players, which is theoretically good in the sense where like you're guaranteed to get the best of the best if you double the amount of people that are able to be in. Shout out college playoffs, like for football, for American football. 12 teams versus 4 teams guarantees that the winner is actually going to be the best team. Top 4 is just way too small of a pool. Same kind of thing here. Like maybe it aids in that sense, but it's already impossible to spectate in a meaningful way. It is so hard. Your ability to be able to catch real action in a BR. I mean, shout out our friend Monster D-Face. I know he knows the struggle. Being in esports production for Fortnite specifically, it's brutal. I mean, there's so much happening, and your ability as spectator and all the cameramen that are in game to be able to make sure that you're getting all the best moments is like, it's just not even feasible, right? Especially in like the early to mid game. It's fine in the late game because you only have so many people left, and when there's going to be interaction between parties. But off the rip, like you're missing so much good content, and that feels bad. And there really hasn't been. I would have assumed that there would have been much better innovation on this front like ages ago, and we still really haven't seen it. I always thought they would do something akin to like NASCAR, where you can get on board with your favorite driver or get on board with your favorite team or player and just watch their perspective and offer all those different feeds. Obviously, tech-wise, it's a lot more difficult and taxing, but I think it would provide a much better viewer experience. So very, very interesting stuff. We'll see. The 200 obviously makes all of that way harder.
That's also, I feel like that's a premium thing.
Oh, you charge for it for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah. And speaking of competitive, maybe they just don't run the 200-man lobby, just like Rocket League. I don't think they run 4s.
No, actually, you're not getting Rumble in the pro scene.
Yeah.
You're right. You might not. You don't have to necessarily, but
and you might not even get doubles. It might just be 3s, because those are the only teams that I see are 3s, and then 1v1s sometimes. But they just don't have to do 200 people in the competitive scene. But who knows? Maybe it's good. Maybe they start doing that NASCAR thing, and maybe people like it.
Never know.
Could be cool.
We'll see.
Could be cool.
Give me a cut. Go ahead.
Give me a cut for telling you about what someone else is doing and telling you to put
I'm a problem solver, baby. It doesn't matter how I get there.
All right. Abe, what else we got, dude?
All right. Well, so you guys have probably heard of this situation already, but I'm sure everyone's aware, but not last week on the 19th, pretty much all critical systems across the United States had massive errors and issues due to a little program called Crowdstrike Falcon. So Crowdstrike, and specifically Crowdstrike Falcon, is a kernel level security system. So it's kernel level essentially means that's the space between your hardware and your UI. So it's the core functions of your PC. They part of an update that they released introduced a driver that was flawed, which meant that every Windows machine that was running that update and running CrowdStrike got the infamous blue screen of death simultaneously. Now, it only impacted about 8 million Windows machines. It just so happens, which represents 1% of Windows machines, according to Microsoft, just so happens that it's heavily used in critical infrastructure spaces across the world. Specifically, we're talking airlines, public transportation, hospitals, banking and online transactions, and I believe I'm missing one of them. Hold on, let me check my notes because there's one more big one.
The Sphere in Las Vegas?
Media
broadcast companies. So pretty much simultaneously, all of their machines got the blue screen of death in what a lot of people are calling kind of the modern Y2K.
Way worse than actual Y2K.
Yeah, way worse. So this was a serious problem. I mean, airlines were delayed and canceled for days. It really crippled kind of the entire world simultaneously, all from one update from one company. So it kind of calls into question, why are so many companies utilizing this service and not diversifying, and also potentially having backup machines running off of either Apple or Linux, and another slew of ways they could have prevented this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a a learning moment for a lot of these folk. I think like also the most fun part of the story, which I think is really important to underline, is the fact that not only was it BSOD error, but the only way to, like, you couldn't just like roll it back yourself. You had to have like a real, like, legitimate technician come out and like work on it to fix it. This isn't just like your typical like, I'll troubleshoot this and fix this. Like, maybe someone who is, someone's tech savvy in that arena could have helped out. No shot. It wasn't like that. And so, because it would just keep doing it, like it would just constantly loop. So
it required you to boot into safe mode and then actually go in and physically remove and repair the driver.
Right. So
I don't know if I agree that it was a learning experience for a lot of these people.
You
think they're learning from it?
No, because most people are like lazy and will continue.
They learned that they could get effed. Now, whether they change and prepare for it, that's a different thing.
Yeah, and I think it takes the right kind of person to like be proactive in that sense, or at least reactive in this sense. Yeah, I think you're right there. I agree.
So I do see it as a big issue that something like that can drastically affect our nation. Then why do you think it got there, that so many people use it? Is it because it's the best program? Is it because there's a lot of contracts? Maybe politics? Why do you think?
I think there's, it could be a whole host of different things. Yeah, I don't know specifically. Like I like, this is the first time I've ever heard of CrowdStrike Falcon. You know what I mean? It's like a security software.
And this is only on Windows, correct? Or was this Mac as well?
This did not impact Apple or Linux devices. This is a program designed for Windows security.
Microsoft, yeah.
Okay. So is this something that people had to download themselves, or if like you have a Windows PC, you have CrowdStrike or something?
It did require additional installation. So this is likely some combination of contracting issue, where, I mean, if you think about it too, think about the host of companies that use like AWS, for example, right?
Yes.
If there was some kind of critical problem that completely shut down AWS, it would put a lot of websites out of commission. I think this is something similar where it's an effective tool that has been working with a lot of, probably in addition to government agencies, big time companies, had a lot of contracts with them, and it just really really goofed and caused a massive issue since they were all running the same platform.
Yeah, it's like when Cloudflare goes out. You know what I'm saying? You see the ripple effects across the internet like pretty heartily.
Like, what else can you do? Like, do you set up a when this kill switch happens, like hit the kill switch and put our backup of something else on somehow? Because having a fully functioning backup on something else is probably a gigantic lift in itself.
Even that, like having a backup for like for a security software, it wouldn't matter in this sense, because the security software had an update that bricked the PC itself.
No, I get
you know
that.
What I mean? And so it's like
I'm saying the airport. As soon as this happens, they have a kill switch, and then all right, Linux mode. We're up and running. Like having something that big and deep just for this minuscule chance that something happens. That's probably why they don't have it, because they're like, there's a slim chance something like this can happen.
It's definitely a cost.
Yeah, it's a gigantic cost.
With my experience too in the software world, this does, I do have a little bit of knowledge here, but I mean, the other thing would be maybe not allowing a kernel level software to have automatic update control,
right?
So you can vet it or push it to a test server or something first. Or I mean, that's the crazy part to me, is that it seems like there was just no QA run on this at all, right? I mean, it should have been very basic. You update a couple of machines, they go BSOD, and you're like, we have an issue here, rather than push it out to the.
That's true. Country. It should be like, wait 10 days to do updates. Like, I want to let everyone else do all this, and then in 10 days, if everything's good, update.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, CrowdStrike is, having the quality assurance of their updates, right, in locally, and then before it pushes globally.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then additionally, right, on the consumer end for all of these PCs, they should not be set to automatic update. I completely agree. That is wild to me.
Especially the big chains, the airports, the gigantic things that affect our nation. If you want to have your own PC on automatic updates, go ahead, do whatever you want. But if you're running an entire airline, then you might have to change a few protocols.
I'm in the reg edit, baby. My shit don't update for nobody.
Dude, I'm still running Windows 97.
They're gonna hunt you down soon, dude.
Yeah, they're gonna start executing people that use 97 still. You see the way Microsoft rolls these days?
Nah,
you gotta be careful, bro.
I don't connect to the internet. They'll never know. All right, what else we got here, dude?
All right, pretty cool little medical development that came through, and you know how I love my medical developments, but there is probably a drug you've heard of before that is widely used across the United States now, called Ozempic. And Ozempic is essentially a diabetic medicine. It's really was originally designed for, I believe, like something involving insulin. I forget the specifics, but it was a diabetic drug, but it was found to have a lot of weight loss capabilities as well. So it's been getting out there and being used quite often as a weight loss drug. But there was research that was being done in, I believe, the University of Arizona. Where they actually ran some testing with a control group of mice utilizing different types of fibers. So I'm not going to go into the whole rabbit hole of this, but essentially, one of the types of fibers is a compound known as beta glucan, and that specific fiber, when fed to mice, basically had the same impact on fat mass loss, lean muscle retention, insulin. What was it? I'm looking at my notes again here. Insulin sensitivity. That's the word I was looking for before. And all these and blood sugar levels as well. So all these things that Ozempic was doing to help regulate weight loss and things like that were actually found in this fiber, which is very, very high in density in oats, barley, rice, mushrooms, and seaweed. And specifically when it comes to oats, cooking them, not baking them, so something like an oatmeal, doesn't actually diminish the concentration of beta glucan.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
You can have all the effects of Ozempic with about a 10% allocation of this in your diet without any of the side effects.
Yeah, but so what I saw on Ozempic was, if you're not doing it correctly and actually forcing yourself to eat, because it makes you not want to eat, you're not just losing fat, you're losing lean muscle mass. This says it retains lean muscle mass.
Correct.
Ozempic, like, if you're just like willy-nilly, you're losing everything. And bone density is what I heard as well, but I don't know.
And it can cause stomach issues as well.
There's a girl.
Agree. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with all the things that you're saying about Ozempic, because, yeah, I mean, if you don't take in nutrients, you're going to face a bunch of like nutrient deficiency issues, of course, right?
Yes.
The difference here, though, is that I don't think a beta glucan is as appetite. It doesn't go through like purely appetite reduction. we are talking about adaptive cellular level changes that are a result of the introduction of this fiber and the way that it impacts the cell walls themselves. And so I don't think you're going to see people like just be completely off of eating food, which therefore will not result in all of these like unhealthy side effects of it, which I think is like one of the huge benefits, obviously.
Yeah, dude, I could eat a pound of oatmeal and still be hungry. So it's definitely not suppressing my appetite. There's a girl that I work with and she's on Ozempic and she wasn't even big, dude. Like no need to do this. She's just taking the easy way out. She has like skeleton face now.
It happens a lot, man. People get gaunt.
Wildly effective.
People get mad gaunt. But that's again, it's a result. Oh, yeah, it's a result of nutrient deficiency. People getting like really gaunt in the face. And so
she said she had to force herself to eat, and then she was just like, I didn't eat today. Like,
that's
what are you doing? It is what it is, dude. Some people want to get on that Ozempic.
Well, if you're trying to do it the right way, though, by introducing something like this into your diet and then dieting and exercise correctly, you could see a lot of really strong positive effects and not deprive yourself of nutrients and energy.
Yeah, I don't think this
that was the other big thing from the study.
Yeah.
It's just because like people have recognized that fiber is incredibly beneficial for a lot of reasons, right? And people who make sure to hit a certain amount of fiber in their diet, like we see all kinds of organizations like what is it, like Weight Watchers and stuff, like, you know, they have the point system or whatever.
I don't think it's called that anymore, dude.
Weight Watchers?
I don't think it's called that anymore.
Who cares? Anyway.
Oh man, let's go.
So Weight Watchers has this point system historically. And it would be like less points for something that was high in fiber, right? And you know what I mean? And like so it makes sense that there is some sort of like continual relation here between having a high fiber diet. And I'm sure like this is some sort of like this specific beta glucans are like I think it's like there's a lot of different kinds. I don't think it's just like a specific thing. It's like a group. And I think they probably isolated one that's like way more effective, right? To see these similar results.
Likely
is my assumption here. But very
it
cool.
is a group too, because the fibers that they analyzed in total were pectin, beta glucan, wheat dextrin, scratch, and cellulose, all of which are plant-based beta glucans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, fibers.
Plant-based fibers, beta glucan. Yeah. You're right. I'd be curious to read the study as always, but
well, seaweed. They said seaweed's good. Seaweed is fire. I used to crush up seaweed in my overnight oats as well. And then what was the very first thing you said? 1, 2, and
oats, barley, mushrooms, seaweed, and rice.
What's barley?
It's a type of grain.
Yeah, it's another type of grain.
Okay.
It's usually used in making beer.
Seaweed's fire. So and whenever you can get that in there somewhere. And you could just go buy either seaweed powder, like crushed up seaweed, or just strips of seaweed, and you could straight up just eat that stuff if you wanted to.
Bro, people have won seasons of Alone by just grubbing on seaweed. It's crazy.
Dude, unlimited supply. Do they have
explains why everyone in Japan is so fit and healthy. Because
one of the reasons
diet is
seaweed and rice diet.
And seaweed. Yeah.
And, do you have to dry it or anything if you pull it straight from the? You just straight eat that thing?
Yeah, I mean, and as long as you're consuming like good, clean water regularly with it, because it is like it can be salty because it's in,
so. For sure. Oh my gosh, good for them. All right, well, let's start eating some more oatmeal, dude. Get people off that Ozempic because I don't think it's good for people. All right, do we have one more? We're almost there.
I do have one more, and we're still in the health realm here. This one's a little bit more scientific, but in an effort to kind of eliminate the, quote unquote, superbug bacteria, University of Illinois Chicago has created a new form of antibiotic. And so essentially the gist of this one is that antibiotics are typically broken down that we use today to two categories: macrolides and quinolones. Macrolides are the ones that end in like mycin, and quinolones are the ones that end in floxacin. So those are the two basic forms of antibiotic that we use today. The macrolides inhibit the protein synthesis in the bacteria, and the quinolones inhibit the bacterial DNA synthesis. So that's how they essentially attack them and kill them. So they're now synthesizing those two types of antibiotic together, and they found that one in particular, which they called MCX128, that is able to, in low effective dosage rates, interfere with both functions of the bacteria, so both its protein and DNA synthesis, simultaneously preventing the bacteria's ability to build resistance to it. So that's the key with all this in this research, is trying to prevent bacteria from becoming antibiotic resistant.
That's awesome. That's so sick, actually.
Oh,
does call into question one thing, and that's if it does become resistant to that, now what do we do? Because we really did create a super bug, but
right. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder. So, what are they testing in right now? Just they're not in vivo at all.
No, that's not from. Yeah, correct. I haven't seen that yet. I believe it's still animal testing.
Well, I mean that would count as in vivo. I just mean like not exclusively petri dish studies here. Are they? I thought
I had read that. They didn't break it down too well in the articles that I found on it. They were mainly focusing on the synthesis of the two types together and actually finding a compound.
Probably no animal testing yet, but that's very, very, very interesting. Obviously, it makes sense. I wonder how they combined the two. Whether it was like how they went about like synthesizing a drug that does both inhibit the protein synthesis and inhibit the DNA synthesis.
I believe it was by removing side chains in the structures of the macrolides and replacing them with ones that resemble the quinolones. That's what they kind of reference in the article here. That right there, I believe, is kind of what they were doing.
If you read the very last line, based on their results, the researchers estimated that their macrolone antibiotic would make it 100 million times more difficult for bacteria to evolve resistance.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Well, if it's imagine if it's that difficult and it still does, we're screwed.
Yeah. What do you?
I mean, honestly, I see it happen. Like, we're gonna go on for a while, hopefully. I think this is going to be a continuing thing, dude.
Of course, man.
Like, it is what it is.
We have to continue to evolve past the things that evolve to kill us. That's what it is, man.
It's a dangerous game.
It's a dangerous game. We're doing all right so far, but I mean, I think
we had a hiccup here and there a couple years ago.
I feel like what's going to I think we're way more likely to do it ourselves than something else do it to us.
That's a fact. That's the thing. It's like, we got to do it. But you guys are going to be the ones that are going to screw us by trying it.
Yeah. That's what worries us. I mean, you already have some pretty bad bacteria like C. diff that's highly resistant to antibiotics. And the problem there already exists when you're treating something else with antibiotics, you're also killing the good bacteria, and then the ones that are resistant have that much more room to take over. So it could, something resists this, then we'd be in some trouble until we found a way to kill that too.
Well, the problem is that we are an incredibly invasive species, and we will continue to get cut down to size by this planet. Repeatedly.
Not me.
There will be population control in one way or another, and I think that's why listen, man, it's time to expand. It's time to go to Mars, Slum.
I don't think we're there yet, but yes, expand, have kids, have babies. Don't take. Listen,
hold on.
This super virus ain't coming to get me. You know why? I shower once a day, if that. Not too much. Don't shower too much. I don't use hand sanitizer because you're just screwing your own biome up. All right. I used to eat dirt when I was a kid, dude. My gut is ready for whatever the heck comes at it. All right. But everyone's taking a hand sanitizer.
I can't spend more than 10 minutes with you without you shitting your pants.
Yeah, but that's different.
Well, how is that different?
That builds up resistance.
That's exactly. it's got to go it's fighting in there, but it's like that was an easy
of the
fight,
war
dude.
that's happening in your stomach.
Yeah, and it's not even a war. It's very one-sided in there, and they just get rid of it.
That's what happens when you combine dirt with 500 chicken nuggets. And
yeah, dude, ain't no thing. Just be careful. Be careful, dude.
I think we need to produce the slum survival hand guide. And it's just don't use hand sanitizer. Shower often, but not too often.
Yes. That's the key, dude.
You need to get your Arby's Monty sticks once a week.
Oh,
it's
man.
Absolutely crucial.
It's been a while, dude. It's been a while. You know, they just had sale at Applebee's, 50-cent mozzarella sticks.
How was it?
Ooh,
were they nice?
Good ones.
They're always nice.
Yeah.
All right.
They didn't have a sale on the cheese curds though. Those are fire as well.
I haven't eaten an Applebee's in like 20 years.
Dude, it's the spot. Gotta go. Gotta go, dude. And if you guys are up late enough, we never are, but they have half off appetizers. Half the stuff you get is appetizer.
Happy hour. They do that during happy, or they used to do it during
after 9 o'clock nowadays.
Oh, I'm not awake after 9 o'clock.
Me neither. I can never take advantage of it.
They're ruining the core. All these food chains are just ruining what made them great. Happy hour used to be at happy hour.
Not Sonic though.
That's true. Shout out Sonic.
Shout out Sonic. Full circle.
Love that.
Dudes, excellent cast as always. Markstrom, do you have anything? I'm sure you do. What's exciting coming up? Any news? Any good ideas? What do you got?
New game tomorrow.
New game
tomorrow. A game called Dungeonborne. I wrote it off originally as a knockoff of Dark and Darker. And the grand irony is that the people over at Dark and Darker were the ones that didn't know what they were doing. And the people at Dungeonborne are actually approaching this genre analytically, which is very exciting. So I'm going to dive into those dungeons tomorrow with a couple of buddies, and we'll see how it goes. We'll check it out. Probably doing that Thursday, Friday, twitch.tv/Markstrom. I'll see you in there.
Love it. I'm excited to see that, actually. I might be home for a little bit tomorrow in the home office, so I got to tune in. Abe, how about you, dude?
Well, if the schedule is open, maybe I'll jump in on a couple rounds with you, Mark, because I had downloaded that as well. Nice. If you're not playing, I think you have a couple streamer buddies lined up, but if there's room, maybe I'll jump in. In between that, I will be moderating the channel though. That's over at twitch.tv/Markstrom.
Also, what do we got coming up, Abe? You got something to start plugging?
Yeah, I'm almost done. I've taken over a side project. So many of the fans of the Markstrom channel have been long awaiting for the return of Dungeons, Dragons, and Lions. And Abe here is DMing. So I will be still. My brother, Whiskey Jack, as those know him in the community, was also a big part of this. He's going to be doing a lot of the DMing with me, but we are close to having everything ready to roll. Had a little bit of a setback this week, but hopefully we'll have it running in the next 2 weeks or so.
Awesome.
Wonderful. I'm excited for that. I am really excited for that. It's been a while since I got to
trying to dress up.
I'll dress up.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been able to just escape into a character in a while. I love doing that. I mean, if you go back and watch, if you can, any of Markstrom's VODs from any of those moments.
Slick Johnson, baby.
I love being a character, dude. So we do I mean, you guys know my name. I'm Slum. I'm here. We do this podcast every Wednesday, and we have, unless Markstrom has a baby, or Abe goes on vacation, or we go to TwitchCon. I don't think it falls on that this time, but I think we'll be all right.
I think we're good.
We have a great time doing it, and we want to bring that great time to everyone we can. So, would you kindly hit the subscribe button on YouTube?
Subscribe.
Follow us on Spotify, because we're up to date on that now. So if you want to listen, you can even watch on Spotify. There's videos as well. But if you're a car listener, whatever you choose, we're there. Share this channel with your brother, your sister, your auntie, your uncle, ma, your pa, whoever. Because if they subscribe, we might come up on their feed and they might click us, and they might find the key to never getting hit with a super virus because they popped in when we're talking about that. You never freaking know.
Mud pies, baby.
So would you kindly do that? We got a nice little cult following here, and we appreciate you guys for showing up. So if you guys don't mind, if you're not subscribed right now, any of you guys out there, subscribe right now. Appreciate it. So that has been another wonderful episode of the Plugged Podcast, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Deuces.